But I am now just going to get started with the session. So we have a little poll where we're asking people about just thinking how they're feeling in this moment now. How are you feeling? Are you feeling where one is saying worse? It's like, I'm really quite stressed, anxious, don't have much of a work-life balance, don't have a balance of any sort. And 10 is that I'm very relaxed. My life is quite, considering all things, considering everything, I am pretty balanced and okay. So if you could just put that number in, won't be able to really see it, but the poll will be collected so that we can just get an indication of how this work is impacting everyone, because it's something I think we'd like to be offering more and more, maybe monthly or bi-monthly, a complimentary session like this. Okay, and as you're aware, thank you everyone. As you're aware that last week in the US, you may not know, but it was Mental Illness Awareness Week. Saturday was World Mental Health Awareness Day, and I'm sure most of you saw posts or listened to the radio where there was a lot going on around that. And in the UK today, it is National Work-Life Week, so we're looking at the work-life balance. And I say that it's also about just a general balance in our lives. What are we doing too much of? What could we be doing less of? Think about that for a moment. And as we're doing that, I'm going to bring you to one of the first mindfulness tools that I use. And we will continue discussing things. The chat place is there. We've muted everybody for the moment. But you can unmute yourselves as well if you want to. There's the chat there. So if there's any sharing, any questions, please feel free to use the chat space as well. And again, I'd just like to thank you all for making time to be with us, for us to be together, and most importantly, for making time for yourself this morning. It's a real valuable thing, self-care, because we cannot pour from an empty cup. And with that thought, let's just start focusing on the breath as it is. There is no need to change anything. If you want to close your eyes, feel free to do that. But simply focusing on the breath as it is. Letting any thoughts just float away like clouds. By coming back to that breath. The breath is an anchor. Simply observing the breath. Witnessing the breath. Befriending the breath. And as you're doing that, just take a moment to scan your body and yourself and see how you're feeling. There is no right or wrong. Mindfulness is about accepting what is without judgment. And those last two phrases are really, really important. Accepting what is without judgment. Again, just focus on that breath as it is. Then as you're focusing on the breath, become aware of your feet on the ground. Feel as though those feet are being rooted deep into Mother Earth. And allow your body to just relax that little more as Mother Earth is holding you. And in the relaxing, just become aware of your breath as it is. Letting go of any thoughts by coming back to that breath. And allowing the body to relax just a little bit more. Relaxing the shoulders. Still focusing on that breath as it is. Letting any thoughts just float away like clouds. By coming back to that breath. We'll just focus on that breath for another minute or so. Simply focusing on that breath. Maybe giving yourselves a nice big smile as well for making time for yourselves this morning. Feeling those feet on the ground. The body on the chair. And using that breath as an anchor. Can use that breath to get out of the head and into the body. And the more that we're aware of our body and our breath, the more we are present to the here and now. So again, just focusing on that breath as it is. No need to change anything. Just simply witnessing that breath. Still feeling those feet firmly on the ground, rooted. Feeling that body on the chair. Letting it relax just that little bit more. Letting any thoughts just float away by coming back to the breath. Then slowly becoming aware of the feet on the ground. the body on the chair, and gently just coming back into the space of here and now. And as you're doing that, take a moment to just see how you're feeling. With a reminder that there is no right or wrong. It's about accepting what is without judgment. If anyone's wanting to share anything in the chat, please do so. You don't have to. This is your time and your space, so just savor it. Savor the wonder of who you are. And I'm going to touch a little bit today on the work-life balance, since it's National Work-Life Week. And I'm very aware that during the time of COVID, work-life balance has become a real challenge because people are working from home. People who are in work are really grateful for having work, so they're giving way more time to work than they would normally. And there are no boundaries when you're working from home. I'm not sure how many of you know, but I was one of the first people to work from home in fact, I was the first person to work from home from British Telecom in 1982. In prehistoric times, I call them prehistoric because we had no laptops, no mobile phones, none of that. And my target was I wanted 10 extra hours a week with my children. That would save the commuting time. And so I have a lot of experience around work-life boundaries. And so I would love to hear from anyone who's got any challenges, but it's almost like some simple things to put in place are start your day at a time that you would be doing so in the office. End your day at that same time by turning off the laptop, putting that computer away somewhere. Even if the temptation to touch it is there, just kind of move it away, put it away somewhere. Have your lunch break, go out for a walk, go out into nature, even if it's just the tree down the street. Not all of us have the luxury of having a lot of greenery around us, but if you do, go and take time out to be in nature. Take time out to go and listen to some music. Put on some music and dance. Anything that helps you just relax, nurture yourself is really important. Put in those coffee breaks. And the exercise that we just did around breathing now, add that into your daily routine. Put little post-its somewhere. It's something that you can do when the kettle is boiling. It's something that you can do when you can just having a stretch. A minute of breathing 5 times a day is what I prescribe. And more, of course. But if you can start with 5 minutes a day, that would be absolutely fantastic. The fact, or the myth rather, that you empty your brain when you meditate or when you're being mindful is a myth. We think 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. So calculate that by as long as you've been on the planet. That's a lot of thoughts. So emptying the brain is not an option. But simply observing or letting them go, as I said, like clouds. Or the other analogy, which I like, is when you're going to cross the road, you don't go into the middle of the traffic, do you? You actually just watch the traffic go by. So that's what you want to be doing with the thoughts. Okay, I'm sitting down to meditate. Oops, I need to go to the shops to get some milk. Let that pass by. Don't by then have made the journey down the road to the shop, buying the milk and coming back while still sitting in that mindful space. And you will, with time, learn to do that. Like everything, it's about practice. I say it's like having a big sculptor. When the sculpture starts, a person who sculpts starts, they have this huge piece of marble or a blank canvas, and they start working on it slowly. So our brain is a bit like a big marble, and we've got all these thoughts. And how do we get into that? How do we make a crack? Well, we can make a crack, as we know. You just need one little ray of light to make a crack or bring a bit of light into a dark room. It doesn't take much. So what we're doing with this mindfulness work, with a minute at a time, is we're starting to put that light in. And the more you do it, the brighter it gets. The more you do it, the brain starts, actually, I'm not a neuroscientist, but the brain then starts realizing, oh, yeah, they're breathing now, they're concentrating on the breath. It's my time to stop. And the brain will stop feeling so anxious. Of course, that imposter syndrome or that mind, those kind of, the voice in the head will go when you're at the kettle and trying to breathe. It'll go, oh, but you've got 100 emails in your inbox. Just ignore it and be with that breath for a minute. And experiment with that and let me know. I'm always very happy to receive emails or any messages of any sort. So feel free to share that with me, and we can always explore other ways of working. So boundaries are really, really important. It's not just boundaries at work, it's boundaries in life. I've shared before that I come from an Indian culture, and the woman's role is to look after the family. It's taken me years of experience, and I'm still learning about putting boundaries in place. And when I first started putting boundaries in place, it was uncomfortable for me, really uncomfortable, and it still is uncomfortable. And it was uncomfortable for the people who were used to me. I was one of those who, like, I think about it, my life was a bit crazy. I would probably, be kind of balancing 10 plates, and if people said do a somersault, I'd do it as well, but I was exhausted, absolutely exhausted. And as I started practicing putting boundaries in place, I felt better. I could feel how much healthier I felt. And people around me respected me more and also valued my time and what contribution I made. So part of mindfulness, part of coaching as well, is we always work in that zone of discomfort because that's where the biggest growth is. So really push yourself with the boundaries. Think about one way that you could put a boundary in place this week. My catchphrase for my business is small changes, big impact. So that's why I say 5 minutes mindfulness every day. And what's one change you could put in? How could you make sure that that boundary that you put in is going to happen? Partner up with somebody. Say, by the way, this is what I want to be just held accountable for. Or the other thing I do, which I do with my coaching clients, is I say, they go, oh, I can't stop working at 6 o'clock or whatever, or I can't say no to so-and-so. Then I ask them actually to have two jars. And in one jar, they put money in, say £1 for every time they actually follow that boundary. And in the other jar, they put in money for when they've not followed that boundary. And the jar where they follow the boundary, they use to do something lovely for themselves. And the other jar, which always has the higher amount, I might tell you, they give to something that they detest completely. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan and you don't like animal, slaughter or something like that, you go and give it to something like that. Or if you're in the UK and say you're a big Conservative Party fan, then you go and give it to the Communist Party. And try that, because my goodness, does that stretch that comfort zone. And seeing the jars really makes you realize where you're putting your energy and what you're doing. So there's a little tip around some boundaries. As you know, I also do a lot of work around boundaries. So if you want to have a discovery session with me or a one-to-one, feel free to do that. All of that will be coming up in a follow-up email. But I would now like to just finish off with more techniques to help you manage with boundaries, with mindfulness. I'm going to touch just briefly on gratitude. Gratitude is something that we can all cultivate. And I'd love you to just now in the moment think of 3 things that you are grateful for. And if you want to put it in the chat, do so, but if not, just for yourselves. What 3 things are you grateful for? And how can you bring that practice of gratitude into your daily life? And I urge you to do that with pen and paper, because it's another way of being very present. And now again, I'm going to like to take you back to your breath as it is. Once again, just focusing on that breath as it is. The breath is our life force. It is with us 24/7. So focusing on the breath is something we can do anytime, anywhere. So again, just focusing on that breath. And on the next breath, just take a nice deep breath in, as deep as you can, and hold it for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it go gently, 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 gently. And then just come back to the breath as it is. And then again, just take a nice deep breath in, as deep as you can, and hold it for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it go gently, 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 gently. And come back to your breath as it is. Take one more deep breath in, as deep as you can. Deep breath in, breathing in love, compassion, and kindness for ourselves. Love, compassion, and kindness. Hold it for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the exhale, letting go of anything that doesn't serve you any longer, just letting it go gently, 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 gently. And then coming back to the breath as it is. And taking in again another nice deep breath in, as deep as you can. Again, just breathing in love, compassion, and kindness for ourselves. We all need that. Just breathing in that love, compassion, and kindness. Holding it for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the out breath, just sending that love, compassion, and kindness out into the world, to our loved ones. And just imagine the whole planet being wrapped in that love, compassion, and kindness that we are all sending out together. Thank you for making time to be on the call today. There's another poll coming out to you, and I will be here for another 5-10 minutes. If anybody wants to stay on and got any questions or wants to discuss anything, then please do stay and unmute yourselves. But thank you for making time for yourselves. 5 minutes a day of mindfulness, 3 things to be grateful for, and putting in some boundaries in place. And my last question to you is, this was a complimentary webinar. If this was worth £100, £10, £200, but I'm going to give you a figure of £200. If you had £200 to spend for yourself, what would you do with it and how would you spend it? Do let me know by follow-up emails or in any other form that you communicate with me. Stay on if you want to, and take care, everyone. Look after yourselves, look after your number one asset, which is you. Thank you.